Okay, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever looked at the numbers on your bank app and wondered, I know I'm not reckless, so why does this still feel tight? Yes, I have been there. It's strange how living alone on a low income can catch you off guard. It takes more than one large expense to get you. It's the little things working together in secret behind your back. The shopping run that somehow became a tiny mortgage, the additional subscription you neglected. The bill that didn't wait will be taken care of later. I'm not promoting miracles or asking you to give up on life in this video. I'm going to share what works. I was able to pay for everything while living alone as a senior without feeling like I was being punished for being alive. Because to the procedures, routines, and mental adjustments, we typically only discuss topics like these over coffee. Sincere, useful, occasionally humorous, and unquestionably lived in. So stay with me if you want a bit more breathing room each month, less worry, and fewer financial surprises. First of all, handle your finances like a tiny, moody garden. You may hear something today that makes you wonder, well, why didn't anyone tell me that sooner? Make a schedule for everything. This is the reality. When you retire, nobody tells you. When you have less money, it doesn't go away. It vanishes because it emerges at strange times and departs without saying farewell. Money came in like clockwork when I was working. It was erratic and consistently late after retirement, like rain in the desert. Earning more wasn't the solution. It was instructing my money on where to go and when to arrive. I began to view my income as a garden that requires consistent care rather than valiant effort. There is a planting date and a harvest date for every dollar. Social Security takes a pinch. Some invoices are automatically paid that same morning. Before I can convince myself to borrow money for anything glamorous and superfluous, rent, utilities, and insurance have already been paid. An older man gave a wonderful description of it. I don't make monthly budgets. I use deposits to create my budget. For me, that made all the difference. I synchronized my expenses with earning days rather than staring at a monthly budget that didn't reflect reality. It already has a job when the money arrives. No stress, no midnight maths, no decisions. And this is the covert advantage that nobody brings up. Your mind becomes more relaxed. You stop monitoring your bank app like a medical chart once you are certain that your bills have been paid. At the grocery store, you cease bargaining with yourself. You no longer believe that money is passing judgment on you. Imagine watering your garden on a regular basis rather than waiting until everything appears to be half dead. Better outcomes with less controversy. 2. Look for every genuine senior discount and make a more forceful request than you might imagine. Let me put it plainly. You are willingly paying the overly courteous tax if you don't inquire. Senior discounts used to seem insignificant or awkward to me. They're neither, it turns out. They simply don't say anything, and they're waiting for the question to be posed by someone with sufficient life experience. The server at a nearby restaurant didn't flinch when I asked for a senior discount for the first time. Oh, sure, she removed the money from the bill and carried on with her life. Here's what I discovered from other seniors while I sat there wondering, that's it? That's how easy it was. Don't ask in an apologetic manner, ask informally, as if you were placing an order for water. Are elder discounts available? Completely stop. No justification. Age-related jokes should only be made if you want to. One man claimed that by simply asking at hardware stores, pharmacies, and movie theaters, he was able to save enough money over the course of a year to cover his winter heating cost. Another woman claimed that it wasn't advertised at her supermarket. However, she puts aside a little cash every Wednesday simply for surviving long enough. And this is an important element. Emotionally, discounts stack. You feel less constricted, less bitter, and less like the world has forgotten about you with each small victory. You begin to enter establishments with the understanding that you are more than just a patron. You deserve a break. It speaks more about them than it does about you if they ever make you feel uncomfortable asking. You weren't timid to reach this age. Don't begin right now. Third, treat memberships and subscriptions with ruthlessness rather than emotion. This one was a little painful. I'll tell the truth. Subscriptions are cunning. They resemble amiable home guests that consume your meals, never tidy up, and inexplicably proliferate when you're not looking. Apps, clubs, gym subscriptions, and streaming services. They just cost a few dollars apiece. Until you figure out that you're paying for a lifestyle you're no longer truly living. This is what worked for me in the end. Did I use this month? Is a completely different question than do I like this? One senior made a comment that really resonated with me. Monthly billing is not necessary for memories. Something doesn't have lifetime access to your bank account just because it used to matter. I approached everything with a detached gaze. It was gone if I hadn't utilized it in the previous 30 days. Nostalgia, no guilt. And you know what? Most of them were not missed by me. It wasn't the service itself that I missed, but the notion of who I once was. Another clever tip I learned is to, wherever possible, wait rather than cancel. In this manner, you maintain your account, avoid paying when you're not using it, and prevent reactivation fees. He rotates subscriptions like crops, according to one guy. This month, one streaming service, next month another. Half the price for the same fun. Seeing that more money remain in my account was the most relief. It's not because I became a monk. Rather, it's because I finally made my finances reflect my actual existence rather than my idealized one. 4. Make little talents into pocket money and make it enjoyable rather than tedious. This is the line I drew, and I advise you to do the same. You're doing it incorrectly if it begins to feel like a job once more. Rebuilding a profession is not the purpose of pocket money in retirement. It's to give your finances some breathing room without taking away your tranquility. Seniors that are good at this don't work hard. They make an offer. Don't be overly critical of what you now do. The sweet place is there. 2 mornings a week, a man I read about fixes minor appliances and lamps in his garage. It took 2 mornings, that's all. When he's finished, he goes fishing and closes the door. Kitchen knives are sharpened for neighbors by another man. No screens, no stress, no boss, cash in hand. Me. I became aware that I was frequently asked the same questions. Letters, forms, and paperwork. After I assisted a few people with that, coffee money appeared on the table without my having to advertise. This is the magic trick that seniors discuss. Keep it human and local. There are no applications, ratings, or algorithms that determine your deservingness. Solely by word of mouth. In this manner, if you're exhausted one week, you're exhausted. You are never fired. Additionally, avoid undervaluing yourself due to guilt. That is yet another trap. It was best expressed by one woman. To avoid resentment, I set a fair price. Somewhere, the line ought to be engraved into stone. Pocket money ought to feel like a nice favor that comes with a thank you. It's not as if you agreed to a lifetime of deadlines. 5. Make your house work for you, not the other way around. Your home doesn't have to be flawless. It must be submissive. I've heard several elderly discover this the hard way. A house that steals money covertly will soon start controlling you. Upgrades are not the aim. Prevention is. I began modestly. There were drafts, little leaks, and lights that remained on because it was too difficult to walk across the room. Although it wasn't glamorous, fixing those stopped the sluggish bleeding, until he taught it some etiquette. An elderly guy joked that his thermostat was controlling his life. Once you program it, your house will quit having tantrums every season. Another neighbor discovered his heater wasn't faulty after sealing a few trouble locations. His home was merely chatting with the outer world. And here's a mentality change I adopted from other seniors that altered my perspective on repairs. Spending a little now will buy you peace later. It won't cost you money. Resolving a minor problem now avoids the oh no moment that costs the entire month's budget tomorrow. Don't be afraid to offer assistance either. Senior services, community organizations, and quiet programs offer assistance with energy assessments, renovations, and even tax relief. It doesn't have to be televised. Just make advantage of what is available. In January, pride doesn't keep you warm. Your house should safeguard your finances rather than put them to the test. 6. Create a 2-level emergency fund. Health and life. I wish someone had told me about this sooner because it took me some time to figure it out. When we hear the term emergency fund, most of us picture a large sum of money. However, seasoned seniors will tell you that health crises and life emergencies are two entirely different things. Additionally, one will devour the other if you combine them. Emergencies in life are bothersome but doable. An unexpected cost, a malfunctioning equipment, or a tire. These events always seem to occur on Thursday afternoons when banks are closed. However, medical emergencies are emotionally charged. They bring paperwork, anxiety, and stress. You don't want to be doing maths in your thoughts at that precise moment. I therefore kept them apart in my mind. To be honest, memory isn't your friend when you're under stress, so I had to write it down. I started using the same wellness planner that I use for appointments, meals, and prescription drugs to explicitly record my life fund and health buffer. In this manner, I won't be speculating or freaking out when something goes wrong. I already know which bucket to put money in. I'll include the URL in the pinned remark if you're interested. While the separate health buffer is handled like hallowed territory, the tiny life fund deals with ordinary mishaps without drama. Unless it has to do with doctors, medications, or something that makes my stomach turn, I don't touch it. This strategy keeps seniors calm, which is why they swear by it. You don't consider, what if I get sick next month, when something breaks, and you don't wonder, now how will I fix the sink when a medical expense arises? Even small sums have an impact. The clarity, not the size, is what gives it power. When every issue has its own lane, your brain becomes more relaxed. It was perfectly expressed by one person. When I started grouping emergencies together, I stopped being afraid of them. I was affected by that. 7. Know when to break the rules and shop with a plan. This is the real deal. The grocery shop is hardly an impartial location. It's a brightly lit psychological experiment with upbeat music that aims to distance you from your money. I used to make the error of shopping with intentions rather than a plan. I'll simply take what I require. Famous final remarks. A tight list wasn't what ultimately worked. It was adaptable. For the week, I would choose 2 non-negotiables. A protein and something green, usually. Everything else was negotiable. In this manner, I could give in to the store's family-siz optimism without going over budget. According to one man, he shops like a chess player. Although he adjusts mid-aim, he is aware of his opening actions. This week, if chicken is outrageous, it turns into beans. Dessert takes a break while fruit is in season. It's strategy, not deprivation. This is the point where no one urges you to bend the rules. Paying a little bit more might sometimes result in financial savings. Pre-cut veggies for an arthritis sufferer, a slightly more expensive brand that is consumed rather than going bad in the refrigerator. The most costly error of all is wasting food. One woman made a joke about how she sets aside money for sanity goods, which prevent her from getting takeaway later. Intelligent woman. Planning does not equate to punishment. It results in far less food guilt and less regrets. 8. Make use of community resources such as food programs, libraries, and open arms. I used to believe that community services were only available to those who were in need or in worse situations. They're for neighbors, it turns out. I realized I had undervalued my local library for decades when I visited it for the first time after retiring. Free internet, free films, free books, free workshops, and even free admission to nearby sites. In essence, it's a community center that pretends to be quiet. Then there are feeding programs and elder centers. These aren't depressing or uncomfortable spaces. They're just rooms full with folks who've had enough of faking. According to one man, he stayed for the chat after starting for the meal. Another woman claimed that the weekly free lunch reduced her shopping bill to the point where it made the entire month easier. Food services are about dignity,
not desperation. They are there to help seniors avoid having to pick between paying their bills and eating healthily. Just aid, no shame, no speeches.
And let me be very clear. Using resources that you have invested your entire life on is not stealing. It's taking part. You contributed to the development of these systems. They are now repaying the favor. 9. When it comes to taxes, benefits, and paperwork, play the long game. Little mistakes have a tremendous cost. When you're not looking, money might subtly disappear into paperwork. I discovered early on that letters do not go away if you ignore them. It simply causes them to appear later with repercussions. I therefore struck a bargain with myself. I take a seat and confront everything once every few months. Glasses, coffee, and patience. The majority of seniors issue similar warnings on a regular basis. Ignored tax credits, late or incorrect filing of papers, and missed benefit renewals. Not big errors, but tiny ones that go out of control. Because he thought his benefit would automatically renew, one man almost lost it. Another overpaid taxes for years because he was unaware that his circumstances qualified for a deduction. That isn't foolishness. That's a combination of fine print and tiredness. Being flawless is not the trick. It's to maintain consistency. Check items on a regular basis rather than in a panic. Get assistance if you are overwhelmed by paperwork. A community clinic, a local elder advocate, and a reliable friend. One weary pair of eyes cannot see things that two sets of eyes can. Paperwork can be compared to brushing your teeth. If you ignore it long enough, you will eventually pay for it. 10. Keep what you've created safe. Prevent emotional spending and scams. Even though this is a serious matter, we can still have an adult conversation about it. Seniors aren't the target of scammers because we're stupid. We're being targeted because we're courteous, trustworthy, and from an era when people answered the phone without question. I established 2 guidelines for myself. First, never make financial decisions under duress. The answer is always no if someone asks for it right now. Unlike a terrible used car yard, real businesses don't rush you. The 24-hour rule comes in second. A day is all it takes to make an unforeseen purchase, donation, or opportunity. Okay, if it still makes sense tomorrow. It doesn't most of the time, because emotional spending originates from within. It is more difficult. Sad news on a lonely day. That purchase feels like medicine all of a sudden. The most astute seniors prepare for this, and many openly discuss it. They create a tiny, guilt-free fund. When it disappears, it disappears. No spiral, no humiliation. It is not necessary to be paranoid in order to protect your finances. Respecting the years it took to earn it is the key. 11. Pretend it's magic when you automate what you can. Yes, I am aware. Automation is not your retirement strategy. It sounds more like something from a science fiction film or your nephew's startup. But listen to me. It's not dishonest to set up automatic reminders, savings transfers, and payments. It's allowing yourself some space to breathe. I was afraid about setting it and forgetting it when I first started. What would happen if things went wrong? What would happen if my bank chose to withdraw excessive amounts? However, I then came to the realization that the only thing that truly occurs is that I no longer have to think about the ordinary things. My brain can concentrate on the enjoyable aspects of life, like choosing which food is deserving of my decadent weekly indulgence, once bills are settled and savings are stored up. It's what one neighbor refers to as retirement wizardry. Another smiles and says, "I've got my money on autopilot so I can nap guilt-free." To be honest, that's the kind of little happiness that adds up over time. When every dollar matters, automation transforms predictable tension into predictable serenity, which is invaluable. It's an easy trick. Once you've put it up, double verify, and then pretend it works like magic. Yes, occasionally check your accounts to make sure the magic hasn't faded, but for the most part, relish the tranquility of your thoughts. 12. Unapologetically and guilt-free, Maintain a fun fund. Seniors seldom acknowledge this. We still want to enjoy life, even in times of financial hardship, and it's all right. Actually, it's essential. Life is too short to live only to survive. I refer to it as my fun fund. It's a small stockpile, barely enough for a fancy coffee, a movie, a lottery ticket, or even an absurd impulsive purchase, like that stupid hat I wear around the house and can't stop laughing at. No spreadsheet reprimands, no guilt. I literally set aside money for happiness. I've spoken to other seniors who also vouch for it. By the end of the year, a woman who saved $10 a week had enough money for a weekend trip to see her grandchildren. After a doctor's appointment, another man uses his to have a gourmet dessert, his prize for making it through yet another bureaucratic event in contemporary medicine. Here, discipline wrapped in freedom is crucial. The fund is there to allow you to indulge, but it has a cap. It's gone once it's gone.
No excuses, no credit cards. It's your little protest against the notion that having a fixed income entails sacrificing all enjoyable aspects of life. 13. Maintain your social connections. It is more valuable than cash. You might believe that planning and budgeting are only about money, but there's more to it than that. Seniors talk about isolation all the time. It costs more than money could. The silent cost of loneliness might be more severe than any unforeseen repair or overdue expense. Maintaining relationships doesn't have to be difficult. Make a phone call to a neighbor, sign up for a hobby club, volunteer once a week, or simply stop by the neighborhood library to have a conversation. One man informed me that purchasing friendship in exchange for coffee is the best investment he has ever made. This is where it gets funny. You frequently discover unanticipated benefits when you stay in touch. A casual conversation with a neighbor gave one friend a hint about a cheap local theater ticket. By volunteering at the senior center, another person discovered a free home repair program. In addition to being healthy for the heart, relationships can save money. The finest thing is that socializing adds enjoyment to life. You remind yourself that being older doesn't imply being invisible. Laugh, tell anecdotes, and exchange small tips. In actuality, engaging in social activities frequently provides you with the energy and self-assurance to handle everything else, bills, shopping, and planning, with a bit more ease and perspective. If there's one thing I want you to remember from all of this, it's this. You don't have to be afraid to live on a fixed income. It entails leading a purposeful life. This had nothing to do with cutting out joy or being extremely frugal. It was about maintaining control, remaining composed, understanding that your finances have a plan, your house isn't secretly working against you, and that one difficult week won't throw you off balance. And listen, give yourself some credit if you're already doing even a couple of these things. You're adjusting, not falling behind. That's what intelligent people do. This is where I would really appreciate your assistance. Leave a comment if any of this seemed familiar to you or if you have a tried and true method that has helped you stay afloat. What you've learned the hard way may be exactly what someone else watching this needs. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned if this video gave you a bit more financial confidence. I frequently share videos like this one, which are candid, useful discussions about aging, independence, and leading a fulfilling life on your own terms. Because worrying about supermarket receipts isn't the reason we've come this far. I'll see you in the next one, and take care of yourself. I'll walk you through my monthly budget for living alone on a fixed income in the upcoming video.